It's good to see you all. Hope you're doing okay. This wasn't a video that was planned, but I happen to have the motivation to do something extra and record it at the same time, so thought I would share. I'm doing a piece for my friend from college as a sort of I miss you and I'm thinking of you kind of thing. Her favorite dog is a corgi, and she wants one so badly. Like, she fawns over them all the time, every single one she sees. And I always told her I would get her one, so hopefully this counts, you know? I like drawing animals, but this one gave me some trouble. The texture, for one thing, can be super difficult, but my biggest issue was getting the snout. I know it's called the snout. I want to call it the snoot, so if you hear me say snoot, that's what I'm referring to. But my biggest issue was trying to get, the snoot to look right when drawn heads on. And to make it look more like a canine than a feline, which is especially hard with small dogs. And just the foreshortening is just, it's not my thing, okay? But I tried. This first one's from a reference photo that I decided to then scrap, and start boxing out proportions and doing more of a side angle so that I could get an idea for how the body was shaped. But I ended up going with that design in the end anyway. One thing you'll notice is that this video is extremely sped up, and that's because I was really taking my time with this. I want to learn and understand the proportions really well, especially of the face, because usually when I draw dogs, you can't quite tell what breed it is. It just kind of looks like a dog. But once I got the face down, the next issue I came across were the legs. Sometimes the front ones were too long or too thick, or the back ones were just a little too small, and he looked funny, so I decided not to worry about that too much, and I was pretty confident I could fix those more easily than I could, fixing the head. So you'll see I draw the head over and over and over to create some muscle memory. And this is the part of the drawing process that I want to elaborate on, because I think the thoughts going on while I was doing this are the sort of thoughts that need to be talked about, because I always hated the idea of drawing something over and over again. I'd get bored and want to move on to a different project, or would just end up hating it and then stop drawing for, a month or two. Thankfully, because I told myself that I needed to complete this gift and, ship it out, I was kind of forced to stick with it and drawing the same animal over and over again until I felt more comfortable with it, which in the end I'm super grateful for, because now it feels a lot better and it boosted my confidence. But that can be really hard, especially if you're someone like me who has a hard time finishing, what you start, or keeping interest and motivation in a project, because sometimes you just gotta make yourself follow through, and I know that's easier said than done, and that's not super helpful. But one thing I like to do to help push myself is incentivize with some sort of reward. It could be food, a certain drink, or one YouTube video, whatever sort of high reward activity that I would rather be doing. I would set small goals of, okay, get the head figured out, and then I can do this one thing that I wanted to do, or do a few minutes of this, and then I can reward myself with a snack, or just get up and walk around and stretch, because I'm weird and I like moving around a lot, and sitting still for too long makes me really jittery. I also had music going, which is why this is a voiceover. I find I can focus on one task better if I have something else happening, because I see constant stipulation for my environment, apparently. I moved on to one final sketch to make sure I could get the whole thing to look right before switching over to a canvas, where putting the sketch down was going to be more difficult and kind of more like final feeling, I decided to do an acrylic painting, one, because the canvas board was less likely to break during transit, and unlike paper, it wouldn't crinkle or rip. And for good measure, I put it in a plastic sleeve, like the kind you use for paper and notebooks, so that it would stay safe and paint wouldn't rub off, because I was sending it with fabrics. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Though I did use 3 layers of sealant on top of all that. Underneath all that? Gotta make sure your paintings are safe. So I wanted to do a corgi jumping into something, so I tried to make it look like snow because corgis kind of remind me of foxes, and Arctic foxes do that thing where they jump into the snow and it's like a little boom, and it looks really silly, and corgis look really silly, so you know where I was going, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, I was sort of more focused on getting the corgi right, so the background sort of suffered. It's also been a while since I worked with acrylic, so I was more excited to just lay paint down and mix and have fun with it and get a cool abstract colors scheme onto the canvas instead. After I finished the background though, I realized I had poured too much paint, so I took one of my mini canvases, it was like a 2x2, and did an abstract thing with the leftover colors I had, and it looked alright. It's just kind of like a throwaway thing because I didn't want to waste paint. I'm a bad judge of how much paint I need, even though these paints are cheap. I'm cheaper, so I don't really want to waste any of it. These paints, by the way, are the Folk Art craft paints. They're at Walmart next to the Apple Barrel paints, but they also have like thematic sets with interesting colors, and I like them a lot. I don't remember if they were like more or less expensive. They were probably more expensive by like a dime or something. I don't know why I like them over Apple Barrel. I don't think I've really used Apple Barrel that much. I just think Folk Art looks pretty. And you know what? I'm not mad. My first colors, I think I got like a festival set because I liked the colors that were in it, and then I added a few colors from the individual sections. But I went back the other day and saw new sets that had really pretty blues and greens, and I wanted them so bad, but I was told I couldn't get them because I already have too many paints, which is a lie. You can never have too many paints. You heard it here. But I understand because we're kind of in a pretty bad place financially, and I really should be using the materials that I already own. And I understand because we're in a pretty bad place financially, and I really should be using the materials that I already own. So I'm trying to make do with what I have. On the plus side though, I think that really helps with my creativity because I have more limited options to work with, and that kind of forces me to think outside of the box and do a lot more mixing, and I like mixing. Mixing's fun. Makes me feel like a scientist. I actually had a lot of fun painting the corgi. Painting fur is so much easier than drawing it or drawing something without fur, because with the fur, you can be less rigid and more abstract with the paint and play around with mixing and lights and shadows, and I got like really zoned into doing this piece. My head actually popped into frame for like a solid 5 minutes of the recording because when I get really invested in a piece, I start leaning in really close and ignoring the fact that my phone is above me trying to record me doing said piece. Needless to say, I have to edit my head out of videos a lot. It's probably a good thing I'm recording it though, because I want to be more conscious of my posture when I'm working on art, because it's not good for you to be so close and bending your back and straining your eyes and circumscribing the amount of movement your wrist can make. Yeah, not good for you. That's the point. I tried redoing the background to make it look more like jumping into snow, but I didn't like the way it was turning out. But then it was too late because it had dried, so I had to redo a lot of it and then clean up the edges around the corgi, which took forever, and I was getting really sick of it. So to sort of like obscure my lack of snow painting skills, I took a shiny silver paint marker and dotted all over the canvas to make it look like snow or stars. Basically, I just wanted to make it look more abstract on purpose, as opposed to making it look like I obviously messed up. Overall, I'm really proud of this piece, and I hope you enjoyed hanging out. If you want to show me that you liked this, you can like the video, obviously, or you can comment what you liked, or what you think about the piece, or my thought process, or just anything you want, you know? Also, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I'll have a series or two that I'm excited to start working on, and I hope you'll be there. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye!